the XJ's in the shop, so you know what that means. It's rally season. And we are excited. I say we. Dan's got family commitments this weekend, so he has busted his butt to get this thing prepped. So I'm going to take it for the last weekend, basically, and finish the prep. So I don't want to discredit everything he's done. I mean, it's got an exo cage. It's got an internal cage, too. It's a hybrid. Watch his channel. He documents it. He did a phenomenal job. I mean, it's awesome. Absolutely wonderful. Hopefully we don't ever need to use it. But it's there. It's wonderful. I'm pumped. We got some goodies to put on this thing. So basically where we're at, I'm gonna get the table out here. Let's lay out what we got to do. And we'll make ourselves a list here and stay organized with this. Let's get started. All right, so here's our list of what we got to do. Rear strobe bar. Mount it. We got to left and right turn signal. Reverse. Power. Ground. And then our switch panel. Mount. And then our test and run. Of it. So that's that. We have our PDM. Install. I don't know what all is going to be involved in that. I'm just going to leave that as its own category. Wire the front fog lights in. We need to wire in our USB power ports. I don't know if there's anything else over there. Let me check. Oh. Our GPS antenna needs mounted. And our radios need mounted. So that's our list for right now. There's probably going to be more, but let's get started with the strobe bar. So let's start from the order of what has to go on to make it legal for the rally, and then we'll work our way down to the creature comforts that are going to just be nice. First thing has to happen is this strobe bar. They're requiring 1 amber strobe facing the rear of the vehicle this year for dust. I don't disagree with that requirement. I think it's a wonderful idea. So we picked up this USAC legal, mind you, racing strobe bar. We were just trying to get this undone here. I had already done a bunch of research on these and just kind of already knew which one I was going with on the Ultra 4 car. So to put one on here, not really that big of a deal to me. We're going to mount this thing right up here and kind of go right in here between the roll cage somehow. So it's got some adjustment there. What I'm kind of thinking, honestly, is if I can either go behind here and just come off of it with some tabs and mount it, which may be the best way to do it. So let's grab my step stool. Let's get this thrown out on the bench there, and let's see what we can come up with. All right, so here's what I figured out. I grab the light bar here, and well, get up here and show you. So I threw some tape up here. I went and adjusted these mounts up as high as they would go, so that'll give me a little bit of play. I'm gonna mount this behind there. So we'll sit in behind. That's our center line on the light, center line on the bar. Marked where the brackets are gonna sit. So that's kind of how I want that to sit. So I think let's make some brackets to go here and here. That'll mount on these tabs. All right, I just finished ripping out 2 brackets, cutting the angles. So now these will sit real nice up on here. Oh yeah, right here. But I think I want to put a little bend in these, just to sit around that tube nicer, and then we can weld them on there. Got a little angle bent up on there. That was a fun one to get in the press brake. So now it sits on there, nice little angle. So let's get the other one mocked up. I did mark some holes there. What I'm gonna do is come on top of this and bolt straight down through it. So you'll have really easy access to the bolt. Even if the bolt falls out, the bar would have to wobble off of that. So we could always just throw a zip tie in or something too. And I'll just drill and tap this. We can Loctite those in so it shouldn't come off then too. So let's get the other side done. I got both of them done. They have about the same contour to them. Kind of a pain in the arse to make that work. So let's mark out that other hole and we can get these drilled. So the bolts I'm going to use are, you can see here, 6 by 1.0. So if I want to drill my little brackets I made, 6 by 1.0s, you go 1 millimeter less. Well, we don't have a 4 millimeter or 5 millimeter drill bit option. We only have 4 millimeter, which is 3/16. So we're going to go 3/16 and then do a 6 by 1.0 tap. So I am going to make sure that I have a 6 by 1.0 tap though. That would be my only other thing. I'm pretty sure I do. That sounds like a pretty common one that I should have, but oops, the taps. We'll just double check. It would suck to drill this whole thing and then not have the right size tap. So come over here. It's pretty small, 6 by 1.0, 7, 6 by 1.0. Perfect. So let's throw that right there. Got our brackets. Let's get a, what did I say, 3/16. 3/16. Let's get ourselves a 3/16 drill bit and drill these holes. One thing that I desperately need to get is a new set of drill bits. These are all from Harbor Freight and they're getting worn out, but 3/16 right here. Let's drill these holes. I was being retarded. And I was tapping without oil and broke my damn tap. So now we're gonna have to make a new bracket and I'm gonna have to find 2 new bolts. So it is what it is. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. Oh, I can't believe I did that. That was just dumb. Dumb. Whoops. So anyways, let's, you know what I might try? I have some really nice, oops, let me set the camera here. Self-tapper. Right here. They're not bad. I may try these. I mean, I still gotta make a new bracket, but I may just try these because they're pretty nice and they'd work pretty nice. So I think they'll fit right through here. Not how I wanted to do this. This was turning out so nice. And I got stupid. See, they're too long. It's too long. Oh, man. That's frustrating. Should have done that. All right, well, let me find some bolts here. We'll regroup on this. All right, I literally think I broke the most popular size tap for every bolt that I have. But what I have are nutserts. So what I'm thinking is, I'm not gonna sweat it. I'm just gonna drill it out and nutsert it. Then my stupidity on breaking my own tap will just wallow in later. So for a nutsert, I have to drill this out, oops, to the same size as the nutsert. So right there. So let's screw this one up. All right, that's what we got. I got them mocked up there. So now, our center mark, we'll line it up with that center mark. So let's grab the grinder out there and go ahead and clean off where these things are gonna mount. Pull the tape off where we need to. And yeah, get these things tacked on there, and then we can weld them, let them cool. All right, I got these welded up in here now. Oh, looking good. So I'll let that cool, and then I'll mount the bar up here. Well, now let's go ahead and get this on. Take this bar back here. It's same day, but going to be a new video here. The welds have cooled. So let me grab some Loctite yet, because we don't want these coming loose and lose our chase bar. That would suck, right? So I got some tubes of Loctite back here. Little tubes. And a screwdriver. Perfect. So let's go up here and we'll throw these mounts on the light bar and see how she looks. She's mounted the way I did it, which I like. So we got the clamp sits on top of the mount on both sides, and the bolt goes through into a riv nut, and then she's Loctited. So shouldn't be going anywhere. So now over here, this is all the wiring harness. So I'm gonna run this over to this tube and then inside here. But I wanna grab some wire loom first, throw everything in wire loom. So we don't have any issues. So let me go grab some of that and we'll get it fed through. So I got everything in this nylon loom and running out here. It's zip tied to the cage. And she kind of runs along there. It's gonna snake out here. And then this is a connector, and then I got the other connector up there. Well, that's not really a connector. This is the pigtail for the control button. So anyways, that's all gonna continue on down here, down this A-pillar, and then I gotta figure out how I'm gonna fish it. There's enough gap right here. I think I can fish it, get into the body with that part, and then, you know, split it from there. That's shouldn't be too big of a deal, because that button section over here is this guy. That's just gonna go in the glove box, and then that just gets power and ground. And the other section is gonna go to the taillights and stuff. So if I get everything in under the hood, I should be able to terminate it from there. But that's gonna be for tomorrow. Tonight I'm just trying to rough everything in. So I'm going to throw those parts over in a box. And I'm going to clip off this section here and throw this over in my parts pile for right now. Because obviously where that connector is, I'm going to start a new piece. So I'm going to clip this off and that there and leave that like it is for tonight. Oops, move this down here, throw this up here. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this is turning out. Probably get a better mount for that so it's not the zip ties because they're going to dry rot and break eventually. But we'll go ahead and cross mounting the rear light bar off of our list. Grab our blue marker here. Go ahead and cross mounting the rear light bar off. PDM install, that's going to be next. I got to make a bracket for that. So let's just move on to the next least favorable thing we got to do, and we'll start on that PDM install. All right, there's a bunch of different parts to this PDM install. We have the actual module here, and this utilizes a mounting bracket, of which I did not realize it came with, but I'm really excited. That makes it easier. So we got this mounting bracket, of which I'm not sure. Oh, I guess these are just a bunch of different brackets to mount all of this stuff, probably. I don't really know what that's for. Oh, that might be for the panel. Oh yeah, that's for the panel, which I might actually use that. So I got these two brackets here to mount that, and where Dan and I had kind of talked about putting it is sort of like right here. So I gotta sit here and brainstorm how I want to do this. I mean, the best place for it to go would have been like here or something, but that isn't gonna really happen, and all this stuff is relocated. So it needs to be like right there. There just isn't a ton of room. There is a bracket. I might be able to do something right here with it. I don't know. There's a bracket right there. Yeah, I don't know. See, there's this bracket right here. This kind of may not be a bad deal. I don't know what that hose is there. Ooh, kind of. Okay. What that does? Oh, that's over there to that air pump. Yeah, see, there's this. So maybe I can just sort of come off of that. Like this, maybe? Make a little tab and come off of that or something. I don't know. I gotta play with it here. I'll figure something out. Oh, let's see what we gotta do here and get it figured out. So here's what I cooked up. Got these two pieces of channel or angle, and I'm gonna weld them like a Z. Anyways, it's getting late. Don't make fun of me. I'm not getting my letters right. So I can put this one down here. Something like this. Probably use a bolt there and a bolt over there or something. And then so I might be able to just bang that bracket back and move it just a little bit. There's enough room in that ball. Anyways, go like something like this. I want to kind of mount it just like that. Anyways, in there, I'll figure out how I'm going to mount those. And then I'm going to put this top one off of that. So it'll sit, oops, in there, something like this here. Oops. Yeah, it's just getting tight against that line. That's the thing that sucks. Real freaking tight against that line. don't know. Let me keep thinking about this. I'm getting close. I think I've got something close. Because this will mount perfectly. You know what I mean? Like, this will mount up perfect to here. Or here, depending on how I want to do it. I just need to figure out how I'm going to attach to the body here. So let me drill some mount holes over here on this guy at least. And get this bolt mounted. Or, you know, whatever. And then I'll figure it out from there. So this is what I came up with here. I got that bracket down there. And then what we'll do is tack this right like that. And then we'll finish weld it out of the car, obviously. But that should hold everything in there pretty well perfect. And then I'll trim these brackets and stuff up, honestly, before we get this far. But let's pop that out. Now, we got to mark one more hole for a self-tapper we'll run in down there. And then we'll pop this out, trim that at an angle, and finish weld this thing. All right, that's what we came up with. It's awful hot. So we're going to let that cool, and then I'll paint it black. And then I'll bolt it on tomorrow morning. Over here next, we've got the control panel. Right here. So we're going to mount this. Right up here. I think we're going to go right like this on that angled mount. So I got to figure out how the heck this comes off. Get that off and get that mount on there. So let's grab a flashlight and figure out if that's some clips that holds that on, or some screws, or what the heck holds that on, I guess. Wondering if it's some screws right here. Oh yeah, there is. There's screws right there and right there. So go get a screwdriver, and we'll get that thing off. Making a little bit more progress. Here is the mount, and I made a backing plate for it, like a little sandwich plate, as you can see there. And the point of that is because I drilled some holes right here. So that guy is going to slide right in there, kind of. And then this will go on that side and literally sandwich in there, and then it should be nice and solid. So, but the other thing I'm going to do is, when I'm all finished, just hot glue that, because that broke back out. So I'm going to walk in here and plug my hot glue gun in first, so that can start to heat up. And then we'll sandwich that bracket in there, and then glue that in. Our hot glue gun here. Oops. In a mess. There we go. It's getting late. I'm getting tired, guys. I got a GPS antenna to mount yet, and then I'm going to paint this thing. All right, so we're going to let that heat up. A GPS antenna, and then I'm going to paint this bracket here, and then I'm calling it quits. And now let's go ahead and mount this. So let me get some bolts together for this and sandwich that thing in there. So I got this mounted up now to the bracket. So now I'm just waiting on my hot glue to dry in here. And I mounted my bracket up. Right there. So that hot glue is starting to set up, so we'll carry this in here now. Put it over here. So basically, what do we got left? I think all we're going to do yet tonight, right there, because I'm planning on wiring tomorrow. I got this radio mount. I'll probably work on that tomorrow, because I think I'm just going to literally run some self-tappers through the plastic dash for that. And this guy right here. This I'm going to do like this. I got some nice double-sided or whatever Velcro pads here. I think the best way to deal with that, literally hit it with one of these Velcro pads here. one on each. Just Velcro right to the dash. So let's get that cut out and we'll get that in there. All right, I got the panel mounted up. This has turned out, I think, pretty nice, honestly, for not spending a ton of time on it. Mounted up in there, nice and solid. I mean, honestly, probably ripped the whole panel off the ceiling before that was finished. So I'm going to paint my bracket up here now. So, you know, we paint everything that we build orange. Dan's going to freaking hate it. It's wonderful. You know he's going to take this back off and repaint it black. It's going to drive him nuts. That's great. All right, I'm going to put one coat on this now. Let it dry and then hit it with the second coat. The other thing that I got done is the GPS antenna is mounted. So, I mean, really the only thing that we didn't start working on my list, let me see here. Well, the PDM install, you know, that's not done, but we're working on that. The radio mounts, no. The GPS is mounted. The USB ports is wiring, so we get that tomorrow. Fog lights and the radio mount. So, I mean, I think we're making out all right. You know, it's not perfect, but we have three days to get all this stuff done. It's a lot of little things, so I think we're on a good progress for it. So, gonna call it quits tonight. Where I'm at, I think we got plenty done. Like I said, seen somebody else on the Facebook group got their strobe bar mounted up, so now I'm pretty sure they use the same one that we use too. So I'm really happy. I mean, it's nice and tight and everything on there. Like, that turned out really nice. You know, like, I am tickled with that. The wiring is gonna look all right for what it is. Like I said, GPS is in. Lots of phone holders and radio holders to go in, so there'll be lots with that. Yeah, I mean, it's, you know. Oh, and then the other thing Dan got done, check this out. We didn't get it done yet, but we're doing a dual alternator setup on here. So the other alternator will go down in the lower section then. So, yeah, I mean, that's going to be pretty sweet. Yep. Get our PDM mounted tomorrow. Start pulling some wire, really. The radio mount will be the last thing to really screw with. And then we'll start pulling some wire here. And like I said, this radio mount should be pretty easy. I would do it tonight, but it's 10 o'clock. We got soccer at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, and if I come up too late, my wife will just absolutely kill me. I think this was a stretch enough to get some time to do this stuff. But, yeah, I'm kind of just thinking, like, oh, hell. I mean, something, I might even be able to come off the side with it, honestly. You know, that might be better. Or mount it right down here to the floor with some self-tappers. I don't know. The side wouldn't be bad. You know, come off the side and straight up with it or something. So we'll figure it out. I'm not too terribly worried. We got some nice mounts and stuff for it, so it'll work out. Get these mounted though, so we have our battle fangs both mounted. So, all right, well, let's close up and call it quits for tonight. We'll hit it again tomorrow. Getting back on it. This will be part 3, I think. So, brackets all painted up and dry. So I'm gonna get this bolted in and get the PDM bolted in. And then, I think before I really start fishing any wires, I'm gonna get that laid in there. and then clean my table back off. I'm going to mount the radio mount. And the USB port's not here yet. So then I'm really going to just start trying to figure out my wiring, I guess. I'll start with getting the PDM wired in, and then everything else that needs to be wired in, other than the light bar. I got some tail light craziness to do with that. But everything else will basically just be connecting to that PDM. So I think what we'll start with is power to the PDM. Once we get this in, we'll do power to the PDM, and then the control panel to the PDM, and then we'll wire the individual components that are going in. I'll have to draw out what they're going to be, because for right now it's only going to be a handful of things right now, and then eventually the fog lights that are already wired in up there we're going to bring into it too, and probably a couple other little things here and there, but for right now that'll be where we're at. So let's get this bracket in and then jump over to the radios. Okay, got the radios mounted. These will be perfect. I mean, you can, oops, yeah, dropped it here, showing you how perfect they are, and then I'm dropping it. But I mean, like when I'm riding in here, or Dan is, I mean, I'll be good because the iPad sits here, and then we'll have the other phone mount will be, I'll probably move that a little bit. So the iPad will be here to look at. Dan will have, or whoever's driving, will have their own smaller nav screen over there. Big lead nav running here. Usually we run backup of Gaia or something as well on the other phone mount, but this will be, for texting and everything as well. And then we got both radios. So one will be to our crew, and the other one will be race comms. So we'll have both right there. I mean, it's a little tight, but it is what it is. They're all tight. I mean, like I said, ideally it would have been nice to mount them here, but that airbag goes off. It's throwing all that into your face, right? So, yeah, this will work perfect. I gotta label them which one's gonna be which. So you're picking up the right one. Not talking on race comms if I'm trying to talk to our team, and not talking to our team if I'm trying to talk to the guy in front of me. So, but that's what that is. Switch panels here. Gonna get that up then. So I think we're pretty much ready to start pulling wires. So I think the first thing I'm gonna start with, I got the PDM's mounted in there now. That turned out really good. So I think the first thing I want to start with on this is get my table cleaned up and then lay out our wiring for this. Lay out our wiring and figure out how we're going to do that. I mean, Dan's got a whole bunch of stuff here already tapped in, so we'll probably just tap right off the battery, pull over, mount the circuit breaker that it comes with somewhere in here. I mean, I'll probably just zip tie it, honestly, as it is, so that way he can move it if he wants to later. Pull our battery cables over here and get this stuff hooked up. And then I think probably we'll get the strobe bar in because that's most important, and then work our way down to least important. So let's start by getting my table cleaned up, since we're sort of all done with fab and brackets and stuff up. And then we'll get started on pulling some wire. Here's what we got. I got this mounted, started connecting all this, got the battery cables routed and the circuit breaker. Right now I am fishing the control harness for the rear light bar. I had to cut that, and I'll splice that back together. It's obviously got another connector here too. So we're getting that routed. That punches through into here. Oops. And there's the other side of that connector. Right there at the firewall, if you can see. And I'll zip tie all that harness up. I made a little switch plate here. That's going to mount just up underneath it here. That way it's hidden. Dan doesn't have to stare at it, and he'll be able to turn the power on and off from the PDM control. So that's kind of ready. I got to fish the power and ground for it yet into the PDM box. So I'll do that here in a little bit, I want to get the rest of this fishing done with what I'm working on at the moment. So basically, the next thing I got to do, I fish down here into the fender well, is come right up here where this little hole shot is here in the cage. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm going to try to go right here if I can pull through there, and then shoot right up here on the A-pillar. So I got my little fish tape, and I'm gonna give her a go. All right, that harness is fed through and wired in, and I electrical taped it, put a whole bunch of shrink wrap and everything over it. So that part's good. I think the next thing I'm gonna do is I need to back tap a keyed fuse. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and get that portion taken care of. There's this little connector over here that comes with the kit, and this guy. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done. Oh, why? Oh, they're different. I need a mini fuse. There's the problem. Oh yeah, we got one. We don't have a 5. Neat. Neat. Well, let's see what we got here. I mean, worst case, I guess we could just, I don't really want to give it power all the time. I think then it's going to just try to be on all the time, which, I mean, would make sense. So 5 amps though. I don't know, let's probably pull this 10. I guess let's see what's keyed here and what's not. Yeah. That might be fine. We can probably put our 10 in there. It's pretty heavy wire, so we'll check these and see what we got here and pull our circuit off of it. I think we should be all right. Find something, key on ignition, get it from there. We got some of these grommets here, if you see. So I got to stuff all these in then when we're done. Basically what we'll do is just slit them and stuff them around and then RTV them so the rubber doesn't, the rubber doesn't go up in there. So yeah. They're kind of a pain to feed through right now. Yeah, if you can see. Should have made my hole, I guess, a little bit bigger, but should be all right. We'll just, like I said, cut it and get it on there. So yeah, let's go ahead and do this next. Get this in. And trying to think then, really. Probably pull our power and ground in and then hook our cables up here and see, make sure our PDM's gonna power on, I guess. Check, I want to see what happens, I guess, with it. So, let me get that done and then we'll see what's going on with it. All right, we made some progress. All right, so look, I got the Switch Pros thing wired up. Oops, let me turn this off. So that shuts on and off. Well, first of all, oops, jeez. All right, so first of all, it's keyed now. Brings our power on. This right here turns on our light, all right? And then it presets your control. So as you can see, there she goes. And then the brake lights do kick up to a high. Obviously the hazard part you can turn the whole thing off. But yeah, the brake lights kick up to a high, and then you have a reverse light here in the center. Pretty neat. So I got a little bit more time here, so I'm gonna work on getting this mounted up under here now. Sort of tidying up some of what I had going on here. And then, yeah. Oh, and I was using the power probe here. So reverse is white. So, oops, grab the white wire here. Okay. So if you watch there. I don't know if you can see it on the back, but it's throwing that reverse light on. Pretty bright, too. So, pretty cool. Pretty cool. Let me shut the shop lights off here. It's daylight outside, but I mean, it's pretty cool. So, yeah. All right. Oh, and then the other nice thing is everything should power off if we just shut this off. Yep, everything shuts off, and then if we turn it back on, we have to default it on, but they kick right back on to the previous setting. So, as long as we don't bump it with our foot, which we should be all right. Like I said, I'm going to mount it up under there pretty good. We should be all right. So, I was debating about just stuffing it in here, but I was afraid something was going to bounce into it, and I don't want to get in there to ever access it. It's so freaking tight with all of this stuff here. So, I'm just going to take the screw out, mount it up underneath there. This will reroute over there. So now, oh geez, let me shut this off so I don't kill Dan's battery. So now we have all that kind of working. The next big thing will be the front fog lights here. Get them wired in. So I'll probably kind of rough them in and then I can neaten them up tomorrow. And then the USB, I gotta go see if that came in yet. If that came in, it'd be nice to get that in tomorrow yet too. So, but we're getting there. I got a little bit more time down here, so I think I'm gonna start screwing with these fog lights a little bit. The other thing that I need to do, and I've been putting it off, is this harness here has to get run down through here, fished through here, and then in here, and then I've got to take the reverse, turn, and brake signals and tie them all in, which it's not hateful to do. It's just a lot of damn wiring. So we'll get to that though. It's not hateful. So like I said, I think the next thing I'm going to work on is I'm going to unhook my power probe, and I'm going to screw with these pigtails on the front bumper here for these fog lights to get them tied in. There's a lot of settings with those. I'm not sure what all the wires are. I guess I should look to them and see. I'm assuming... See, Dan didn't give me a wiring diagram with these. I'm assuming there's a high and a low, would be my assumption. There's also like a amber there. So it's possible that's like a running light, which is probably this yellow. So you probably have a high and a low, and then a running light. So I guess we'll plug one of these in actually while I have the power probe plugged in and see exactly what they do. Trying to think here how I can even make that work. Probably the best thing to do at that point would be to take a, oh geez, take another wire, I guess. I don't know, I have to figure that out. That one's a little perplexing how I want to do that. I'll have to figure that out. That might not, well, I don't know, we'll see. I can see if I can get them working here. It'd be nice to have them. So I may honestly try to tie them into the turn signal harness. Well, I don't know. I'll figure that out. I have a power and stuff running to that bar. I have enough spots in that PDM too. I could do a high and a low in there. I don't know. Let me goof with it here and see what we got with it. Calling it quits for today. Here's where we're at though. Left turn signal. I started fishing that wire across. Got it all the way up here into the footwell of the passenger side. So basically now I'll just pass through my bulkhead connector that I put in down there. Pass through that, punch out through here, and then fish up through here and tie it in. Obviously, and then when that's all finished, we'll zip tie it. Oh, shoot. Slam that in the door. Don't want to do that. But yeah, so, I mean, it's getting there. Honestly, it's just a lot of little tedious work. The connectors for those were wrong. Dan gave me an extra set of connectors for the road shock lights, the big ones. So he's going to drop the other ones off here then. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's chugging along, but we got a party to go to, so calling it quits for now. I'll get back on it later. All right, so Dustin brought his van over this morning. Did an alignment on that to get that ready to tow down to West Virginia because he's towing the car down for us this time. So then I was just pulled this back in. While he was down here, I built the harnesses for the front fog lights. So those are working now. Obviously, you can see the rear strobe bar back there, strobing away. And I did get the brake lights and the left turn signal hooked up. Now I'm going to work on the right turn signal and the reverse light yet. And then that part will be done. I also built the harness. It's laying down here because I was just working on some of this stuff for the inverter for the USBs to charge everything. So I'm going to stuff that through the firewall and make sure that works. Yeah, get that hooked up. That's a 9 amp. So we're going to go here off of this 10 amp port. We can always flip it to this 20 if we needed to for the race. Just see how it does on this 10 amp. I think that should be all the wiring for this. Then we can start to neaten. Well, after we get the inverter up and these couple things done, then we can start to neaten this harness up. So it's getting there. I'm running low on crimps though. That's I've only got the pink guys left. I have some of these solder ones, and then on top of it, while I was building those couple harnesses while Dust was here, my heat gun broke. I've had that thing for like 10 years, but still. And then I was watching some videos on how to reweave these winches so I can make a loop end on this, and made a little tool here to stuff through it. So, but yeah, I guess let me shut these fog lights off here and the strobe bar. This thing's nice because it's got this all off button, or all on, turns everything on or off, so we can set what we want. As you can see there, same thing. Pretty cool. And then it is keyed, so if I turn the ignition off, it keys it right off, which is super cool. So, I guess, there we go. So, I guess let's get the inverter hooked up, check that out, and then these last couple wires fish through, and yeah, and then see where we're at. All right, it's hooked up here, wired into the switch panel. So if we turn this on now, I'll just do all on because I haven't labeled these. You'll see it's charging, and then if I hit all off, oops, that's all on, charging, all off, not charging. So pretty cool. I'm excited about that. And it reverts on and off, which I like. So, yeah, I like that. We won't have to worry about plugging all the stuff up too and having it run the battery dead, because it'll all run through this switch pros up here. So, I got tail lights to pull yet. So I'm going to get that pulled through. Oops. And then, it's really just neatening up all this wiring and getting everything back together. So, yeah, we're looking good. All right. Here's what we've got. Sorry, wipe my screen off. All right, so we do key on. Because I haven't labeled these, we'll hit the all on button. That turns everything on, including the fog lights on the front. So when we come out back, light bar with the regular strobes. We do our turn signal left. And we get a left turn signal and a left blinking light. We do our turn signal right. We get a right turn signal. All while she's strobing. And then, also important, if we go into reverse here, reverse, we now have 2 reverse lights. A low one and a high one up there. So lots of light coming out the back, and obviously the 2 factories. So she is set up to throw some light. And then obviously, if you're watching out back there, see it all, we just turn the key off and it's all gonna power off. And then when we go key on, it does not all come on, which is nice. So while Dan's driving it, unless he turns that switch on, gotta get back in the park. So unless he turns that switch on, which we'll label it all strobe bar on here, he won't have to worry about driving down the road accidentally. So we've got the inverter over there hooked up too. So he's on his way over, Dan's on his way over with a heat gun. Mine died obviously. So I'm going to wait till he gets here to finish shrinking all these connectors. So I'm going to clean up here with what I can. Wait till he gets here. We'll shrink all those connectors and then tape everything up real good and put it all in loom. So I think the only other thing I can do right now is get that switch panel down there, get the hole zipped in that, and get that mounted up underneath of there. And then trying to think, get that mounted and probably mount the inverter. I gotta figure out how I want to do that. I'm kind of thinking if I mount it, like right here, I'm getting a lot of stuff up in this footwell. So I may wait till Dan gets here and see. I want to put it somewhere here there so we can get all the wires sort of fished around here. So I don't know. I got to figure out how he wants to run this yet. So, I don't know, we'll figure that part out. Get that mounted, and then that's all in. Oh, and I guess I can go ahead anyways and run this. So I'll probably get that put up too. So, let's start on some of this while we're waiting on him to get here with the heat gun. And try to button it up once he gets here. Oh my God, it's so much light. Your poor alternator is going to be.
Get that voltage regulator before we go. I feel like the body lights are dimmer.
Oh yeah, I think the headlights are dying. Yeah. Well, I didn't film Dan backing out the driveway, but there's a pretty fair amount of snow out here. Probably 3 inches, 3.5 inches. Kind of all came out of nowhere. So he made it up though. Things a beast with the lockers in it and stuff now. So it crawled right up the driveway. The lights look really nice, meets all the requirements. So the only thing we got to do yet, really, as far as tech inspection stuff, is the fire extinguishers need to be mounted. So that's not really a huge deal, but needs to get done. And then I guess next week this is Sunday, so he's gonna take it Monday, Tuesday, get the second alternator in and a splash shield for it. Work on that. I'll probably take it back Friday night again. Saturday I'll go through and just get all of our gear in it, make sure everything's strapped down, just go over all the zip ties and stuff one more time. Might see if I can get a new battery put in. The batteries, I had to throw the jump pack on. I mean, I had the doors open and running all them lights to test everything, but still probably see if I can get a new battery in it before we go. And then the last little project that I got to kind of wrap up with it, other than just prepping everything, which we're doing good, is this winch rope extension. And I need to figure out how to weave it back onto itself. So I made the little rod today. So weave it back into itself and make a hook out of it. You know, you're going to make a loop. And then we'll have a 70-foot extension. And then Dan's winch has like 80 feet on it. So basically we'd have a 70-foot extension or a 45-foot if we connected it back to itself to pull from. And then 80 feet or so on the Jeep. So we wouldn't have to pull nearly as much cable out if we're only going like 40 feet. You could pull 20 feet out of the Jeep or 40 feet out of the Jeep and throw this something, you know, I mean, it makes our ability to reach. I mean, essentially we'd have close to 160 feet of reach with the tree saver and everything on it that we can winch. And then, like I said, by doubling it over and things like that, kind of get hooks and tow paths to pull along. So anyways, yeah, so I'm just sweeping up. I'm going to go pull my Maverick down here to thaw out tonight. Yeah, but that's where we're at. Later, guys.